Hello, it's Tamara Hunter, and today is day number 203 of 365 Days of Awesome. Celebrate success through service. And I have our service hero. Now, I want to make sure I get your name correct. It's Nadirah.
Nadirah.
Nadirah. I'm a little challenged when it comes to names, believe it or not. And I was a recruiter. That's what's funny about the whole thing. Nadirah Bray. Nadirah
Yes.
Bray is an amazing service hero. In fact, I just spent a whole hour on her podcast a few moments ago and got to know her that much more. And let me say, what a valiant person and fun, too. Just wait until we find out just how much fun. She lives down the road from me, down in the San Diego market and area. And a couple of our common friends suggested that we get to know each other. So big shout out to Andrew Bloom and Mikey Adam Cohan for introducing the two of us. I want to say welcome.
I want to say thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Let's just get this going. I am so intrigued. Okay, guys, I have to share some pictures right off the bat because to see this, you're going to understand how exciting this is that we have Nadirah on with us. Okay, so let's see here. You are a belly dancer that has a message that is so huge, so big, so wonderful that and you're absolutely gorgeous. I mean, my goodness.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. I've been a belly dancer. February was my 15th year that I started taking classes, and which led me on my journey to traveling and teaching dance. Yeah, and
Now
performing.
you actually are a teacher.
I am. Yeah, I've been teaching for 14 years. Yep. And it's really amazing because it started off teaching belly dance. From whatever I knew, I would start to teach it. In 2009, I had an opportunity with stage 4 appendix cancer. And the night before, or let's say a couple days before I went in to have an emergency appendectomy, um, I was at my dance class and my stomach was hurting. So I said, my stomach's really hurting. I'm not gonna dance, but I love dance and I love my dance class, so I still wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
So my teacher said, well, how about we just write a 5-year plan? What are your dance goals for the next 5 years, or career dance, goals? And so I'm like, great. So I wrote out all of these goals, and one of the goals was to be the best teacher that I could be.
Uh-huh.
That was one of my top 5. And I feel that my opportunity with cancer and the things that I went through and the limitations that I experienced, and I had rebuilt myself with my passion for this dance, I got to really know the dance on a deeper level. So now when I teach it, it's not about the technique, it's really about the healing power that it has on the spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical, and connection on the social levels. So I'm really glad for that experience because it's helping me help women, it helped myself, but helping me now help women tap into their self-expression, into their sensuality, into all of the things that they want to possibly um, just heal from or express themselves. And I feel it's a great tool.
So I want people to digest what you just said. You were diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Yep.
And before going in for your surgery, you created a plan. I absolutely love that. And it was a plan that you said 5-year plan?
Yeah, it was my 5-year dance goal, career goal with dance plan. Yeah.
And this this professor, teacher, coach of yours, dance instructor,
Yes.
very in tune, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Yeah. It was,
Incredible.
yep. And he, um, I went back to him 2 weeks after I spent a month in the hospital. I'm 5'10". You asked me how tall I was. I had lost 20 pounds or so. So I was down to 118 pounds. Um, I was hunched over. I was pushing a walker. I could just barely walk back and forth across the living room. Eventually, I would walk around the block. But I saw him 2 weeks later. I went to an event because, again, I still had those goals and those dreams, and it's still my passion,
Right.
So I still went to an event with my aunt, still really hunched over there. I don't think I took the walker in there, but um, and I saw him and I said, well, I want to take dance class. And I said, when can I come back to class? And he said, whenever you're ready. So I didn't go to the group class, but I went to private class. And we worked on my breathing and my posture and the strength. And so all of those goals that I wrote down, even winning Belly Dancer of the Universe, I went on to do that. I went on to accomplish all of those goals. And now it's more new and new goals. And I think that setting goals is extremely important for us. And my husband, he's like, well, why don't you wait till after chemo? Why don't you wait? Because then I went on to do 6 months of chemo,
Mm-hmm.
which has, as we know, many side effects and things to that.
Right.
And I thought, you know what? I set the intention to be a success story. I set the intention to survive. I'm not in charge of my plan, even though I can set my intentions. And so why would I wait 6 months? I didn't know what would happen in 6 months, but I
Mm-hmm.
knew what I wanted to achieve. And so I just started working on it from as soon as I could.
What an example of unbelievable courage. And I love the word intention in there. You set your intention. And by golly, come rain, come shine, you are going to see it through. And is this what you're talking about? I captured this picture and it looked like it was a competition. Is this when you won?
No, this is my most recent stage performance at Oasis. I have a great mentor and dance teacher, Fatim. She's in LA, and every year she puts on Oasis, and I dance. For the past several years, I've danced in her Friday show. So
Oh,
this is just, it's not just, it's an opportunity to be on an amazing, beautiful, gorgeous stage and dance. And I love dance and movement. And I know we were talking earlier on the podcast about being survivors and being grateful for every day.
yes.
So it's like I am so grateful for every day and every opportunity to dance. And whether it's somebody being afraid to dance or somebody being afraid of whatever it is they're afraid of, it's like we can't let that fear take over our opportunity. So when given the opportunity to do what you love, do it.
I absolutely agree and concur in everything that you just said. Yes. And I want to recognize we have Buffy with us. Thank you, Buffy. And it feels pretty darn good to be a warrior, wouldn't you say, Nadirah?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It,
It's
you know, so you started right away. I mean, you're still in treatment, but you're like, I put it out there. I am going to start with the breathing and everything, and to have the kind of abdominal surgery that you had to have,
yeah,
and have it be belly dancing, that that is incredible to me. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's thinking, wow, there's some kind of cosmic force going on there here, that you have, you're a belly dancer. You were an established, that was an
right,
established form of dance that you already had decided that you loved. And
right.
here you end up with an abdominal cancer. How did you discover it?
Well, like I said, it was just by accident. Um, it started in the appendix and it moved throughout my abdomen. So when my little son, he was 18 months old at that time, I had a 6-year-old and 8-year-old and my 18-month-old, and I'm still nursing him. So of course, he's on my belly, he's moving around. And it would be sore. It was sore and I was constipated for a couple days. Nothing severe though, nothing, just, a little constipation, my stomach's a little sore, and I made that doctor's appointment. So after that dance class, the next day I was going to the doctor. Went in 3 weeks before. Now I didn't do the blood work because I didn't want to give up my coffee in the morning. My little bit of cream in my coffee. I'm like, oh man, that gets me up, and I need that to travel the half hour to get the blood work. So if I would have done my blood work, I would have known the white blood count was up. But I did everything else right, and the doctors again, they're like, "You're the perfect patient." My everything was perfect. So 3 weeks before I go for a physical, and they tell me I'm perfect. Wow. So I wouldn't think that anything would be up with, my stomach's just a little bit sore. Right. So she does a pregnancy test. She does other things. She's like, I have no idea what's wrong with you. And then I go down for the CAT scan and they're like, well, your appendix has disintegrated. Like it's fallen apart. And it's another interesting thing with that is, I went on to study holistic health and get my degree in that because I wanted to know more about the whole body. Right. And they talk about cancer being a disintegration. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, whoa. So anyhow, he went in and he tried to do it orthoscopically and it was just falling apart. It was a big mess. And then he says, well, come in a week or two. And of course, you're on the medication. So I'm just kind of like, okay, yeah, I went on to do performances. I went on to teach. I'm like, I feel great. Good. We got the appendix out. I feel amazing. I'm the kind of person where you have a surgery and then I don't wait the 4 weeks or something. I'm just very active. Right. Yeah, I hear you. So I'm like, all right, cool. I feel good. I'm going to do everything that was on my calendar. So he calls me a week later and he says, well, I thought you were going to come in. And I said, yeah, but you told me 1 to 2 weeks. And this has only been 1 week. And I really don't like to go to the doctor. So I thought I would make my appointment for next week. And he's like, well, I really do need to go over the biopsy with you. Can you come in tomorrow? And out of my mouth, I said, well, as long as you don't tell me that I have cancer or I'm dying. And I was like, why would I say that? Right. So he's like, well, I can't tell you anything over the phone. And then I'm like, what? I don't know why I said that too. That's like the furthest thing from what I would want to happen. And I go in with a friend, and you're right. Like I just think it's such a blessing to me and so interesting, like you were pointing out, because I do teach and I've rebuilt myself through the dance. And so I want people to know that they can rebuild themselves. I'm really passionate about that. But the ladies beforehand would say, oh, I want to look like you. Oh my gosh, you look, and they make comments about different things. And I'm thinking, I want to do this dance, not so you look like me, but so you're empowered. So you are your beautiful self. You look like you. We're all beautiful. We're all different. Right. And that was always my thing behind being this great teacher is I wanted women not to want to be somebody else, but to be the best version of themselves. So, so he says, okay, well, we're going to go in and make a small, like from your pubic bone up to the belly button, a small scar. And then my mouth drops, right? And I'm like, oh, and this was after he told me I had cancer. So I'm stunned. I didn't expect it. So I'm in this shock, but then he talks about the scar and my mouth drops, and my friend teases me because she's like, oh my God, he tells you have stage 4 cancer. Then he talks about creating a scar on your stomach and you're like, oh. So it's amazing. It's a good thing you had a friend there. And I want to point that out because in fact, I tell people that they should have a friend and they should bring their phone and put on the app
for to record what the doctor is
Mm,
saying,
right.
because then that way you can listen to it later, because statistically the percentage of us hearing what we're hearing at that moment in time, because it is such a shock for the
Right.
system, you don't always hear all the intricate C's that you normally would catch
Right.
in a normal situation. It's a little abnormal to hear, number one, you've got cancer, and then number two, to already hear the stage that
Yeah, and I
you have.
didn't. Yeah, and I
Did he?
didn't know the stages.
Oh, okay. He didn't know the stage at the time.
No,
Okay.
no, he knew the stage was four. I didn't know stages.
Okay, got it. Okay, you didn't understand the staging. Yeah, because why
Yeah,
would we know? I know.
yeah,
And many people don't understand stages,
yeah,
and not all cancers, believe it or not, guys, not all cancers stage the same way. Some are stages and some are other type of ways of being able to, because you have blood cancers and such things, different things.
right.
So anyway, so on with your story. So you find this out, and you have small children, and you have your friend there, and your attitude. How did you proceed forward?
Well, so then he went on, and I thought, okay, well, what are these stages? Does it go to 10, 100? 4 seems pretty low. That's what's going on in my mind. I'm like,
Right.
okay, 4, that
Yeah.
doesn't sound too bad. And he proceeds to tell me like that's the worst stage.
Right.
And the first thought in my head was, how do I get this out so I can go on and live my life?
I love it. Yes. Yes.
And that's it didn't go into anything else except let's get it out now,
Hmm.
and I need to go live my life. I have my
Right.
kids, I
Right.
have my career. I'm deciding now, like, oh shoot, I love my life. I thought,
Hmm.
I'm going to live till I'm really old. I thought I'm perfect patient all the time, and that's not guaranteed. So it's really interesting, like you're talking about mindset, and it was like, well, get it out and let me go forward with my life.
Right.
And it was a lot more complicated. It took more time, but just God was there in this amazing way, because my friend did take all the notes. My mind is not paying attention to anything that he
No.
said.
No. No.
She took the notes. She went on to research to find a doctor. There was a appendix cancer specialist, Dr. Barone, in San Diego, where people from all over the world travel. He
Wow.
does yeah, he does, and he's right here down the street. He's in
Right.
the same
Yeah.
hospital, actually. Um, and he does a heated chemo. So they put me in a coma for 4 days, and they put 110-degree chemotherapy and bathed my abdomen for 4 days. So not only did the scar go from the pubic bone up to the breastbone, but also I have other tubes where it's circulated in and out for 4 days. And then there's just a bunch of scar tissue. So the belly dance, also, my acupuncturist said it's the belly dance that has helped you not have that scar tissue adhere like it usually does.
Right. 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 That makes total sense because of the type of movement that is required within the belly dance, right?
Yeah, you're just always stretching and moving, and so you're just
And
pulling
breaking
it.
it down, yeah, not allowing for it to take hold like scar tissue does. So so now you're doing these amazing things. You're teaching. You are you also, I didn't ask before we went live, are you also a Mary Kay person?
Yeah, I just started again. When my oldest son, he's 18. When he was like 9 months old, um, I did Tupperware, and then I did a little bit of Mary Kay because I like the product.
Hmm.
Right now, my whole institute is mainly for empowering women, whether it's self development, it's dance, it's business, it's just the whole
I
self
love it.
care, self love, just women from the inside out. Um, and so recently I decided, like, I went to my friend's facial, and I'm like, I want to add this into my programs, because I do programs and weekly and monthly get-togethers and events with women, and I just felt that the facial and the makeup, because of course I love makeup as a performer, but the
Mhm.
whole ritual was really fun, and it was
Mhm.
self-care. And I
Right.
believe that the self-love and the self-care is so important for everybody. But we were talking about earlier about survivors, we're talking about caregivers, we're talking about women, men. My 15-year-old son is now using the product. And he's like, oh
Yeah.
mom, so it's like, it's a nice ritual just to clean our face or brush our hair. And I was telling my friend, I said, when I was in the hospital for a month, there was a lady right next to me, and I didn't get to meet her, but she had her makeup on all the time. I was in the hospital, and it took a few weeks for somebody to give me a bath.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and because I was pretty much out of it the whole time,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah.
And then once you kind of wake up and you're like, oh shoot, I need a bath, I need to brush my
Right.
hair, I need to brush my teeth. But when you're out of it, you don't care about all those needs.
No. No.
And I was like, man, I wish somebody would have brushed my hair. I wish somebody would have brushed my teeth. So I'm kind of putting it out there in a book that I'm writing, is to be mindful of these things when we
Right.
go in to visit people, or just, that's kind of the thing, is if you go into the hospital, it's like you go in to visit and then you leave. Well, my hair didn't
Mhm.
get brushed for 3 weeks, and I was sweaty, and when I finally realized it, I'm like, oh man, like I'm stinky from all the hormones. I've lost all this weight. I just felt I hadn't washed my face in 3 weeks. and
Mhm.
and so that kind of went into the Mary Kay thing. I'm like, not that somebody has to be in the hospital and experience that, but it's like, it feels good to wash our face with a nice product and put some cream on, and just the whole
Mhm.
self-care. And then the
Right.
experience with the other ladies, to have them, we kind of do like a beauty ritual, like pay compliments, and it's so
Oh, I love
nice.
that.
It's just that's the passion that I'm about. Not so much about, if somebody wants to get something, they can, but it was the experience and bonding of women together and doing something that makes us feel good.
I love that. In fact, you you were actually nominated to be a service hero by both of our friends, and Andrew kept actually kind of like nudging me. He actually called me one time. I think we were and our schedules didn't work out, and he tried to connect us on one of those days, and he was just like, what, you need to understand what she is doing for so many in your community and so many women, and she has such a gift to give to others, that you are actually serving so many. And he actually was sharing the fact that your belly dancing, and now I really get it, is a part of that, in that. And I pulled up the picture, and we started going somewhere else, so I want to pull it up one more
Okay.
time. Is that you've got, this is one of your classes, correct?
This is, yes, one of my classes in Chula Vista at the Senior Center.
I love
And
this picture. I
thank
love this
you.
picture, and that's
This
why
is
I
their
pulled it.
first dance class.
Pardon?
This is the first class. And I brought out the props. They learned a little routine. I teach at senior assisted living,
Uh-huh.
as well as all ages, but I'm getting a lot of people around my age, and seniors, because what I realized is after another surgery, I had lost the use of my left leg for a couple months, so I had to regain that. Um, and so what I realized is, working with seniors, or let's say people at assisted living, I'm like, you
Mm-hmm.
know what? I've actually experienced degeneration. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not an age, it's the lack
Right.
of movement. And I'm like, I want to I mean, these ladies, they'll drop their walkers, they'll put on the hip scarves, they shimmy, we do our chest shimmies. It's like, we are these beautiful beings, you know?
Uh-huh.
L- Just, it's not, we don't need to get connected to the age, and we can rebuild ourselves.
Right. Absolutely. And that is part of why I just know we're supposed to be connected. And I want to be um having this discussion more over on the Chemo Buddies side too, because the fact that our bodies anybody that's been dealt with, let's just say anybody in the Buddies Network that has dealt with any kind of a life-changing health event, cancer, whatever it may be, it can create a bit of an issue with your body. And it's up to us to say, okay, you know, I'm allowing this to remain an issue, or this is temporary. I choose to do something about it, and let's go. And I witnessed this with my mother. She had a car accident. 6 of her vertebrae were shattered, and she was told 34 years before she passed that she was dying of a disease and that she had 6 months to live. And then when she had this accident, she'd be paralyzed before that 6 months was up. And that was quite that's quite a self-fulfilling prophecy if you allowed it to be. 34 years later, she did not, when she passed, she up to the time until she passed a bone marrow cancer, but up until that got her, she walked with a cane. She was not wheelchair bound, and she lived those 34 years. And she never gave in to what they said. That was what I learned. It was like, okay, they're saying one thing, and she's obviously doing something else. And it was like, you know what? Mind over matter. And there's no way this is happening. And what an example. And I want to just say, we've got Teresa Snyder here. I love Teresa. Hi, Teresa. So good to see you. She worked with seniors too. And I don't know if you're still out with Forbes Riley right now in Florida. She's actually from Texas. And let's see, Candace, please come with. Okay, so I think that's a message in regards to Candace. Okay, so Teresa's coming out this next week for the City Summit City Gala that's going to be taking place, and so I'll be seeing her there. You know, I love your message every which way. You know, you look at what you are doing and what your message is all about. And I am so happy to be sharing it, and very honored actually to be singing it from the mountaintops with you. You know, that number one, do not let, and too many people don't understand that this is a choice. When the doctors tell you something, they are telling you what they know, yes. Yeah. However, they say it in such a way that sometimes our subconscious believes it, and we don't need it to allow it to be believed, because it is many times a best guess, if nothing else, if they give you a time, right?
Yeah, and it's also based on their research. Like we were talking about, you know, I get tested twice a year. The test maybe, you know, will become less over time, but it's like I'm a test. So right. It's like they will test you and forever. And so some people will be like that, other people's won't, depending on their situation. But they're going by you know, evidence or documents that they have so far. And the truth is that each one of us is a unique being. And I heard, you know, the other week where they say, well, that person couldn't break the 4-minute mile. Well, that person believed they could break the 4-minute mile. So we can't put any limit on human potential.
Right. Absolutely. And I witnessed what some would say a miracle. And now I'm witnessing what some may say another one, in talking to you right now. The fact that, you know, you think about, and this is another part of our sharing right now that I want people to take home. And that is, it's not always easy. It's not always easy. I mean, I'm glad that you shared the reality of what you had to endure with the hot chemo that you did, and how that was, and what that was like, because for us to both be here, yes, there was a lot of fighting, there was a lot of determination, there was a lot of healing, and there was However, healing is not always pretty, and it's not always easy. And it's like you said, those 2 weeks where you didn't even really notice until you did notice that your hair had not been washed and that there might be a little bit of a smell. I mean, I remember that I was in the hospital, and I remember seeing my doctor, one of my specialty doctors, come in and look at me, and he was as white as his ghost. White as a ghost, because I was that sick. I was that sick, and he was that worried. However, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I know I don't feel good right now. I know this isn't easy, but don't you dare give up on me, because I'm not going to give up on me. And so it comes from within. And so anybody that's watching this right now, one of the other reasons that I'm so thrilled to have you on the Service Heroes program is because being of service and is also sharing that story and being that example and saying, okay, yeah, it might not have been pretty, it might not have been easy, it might have even been a little messy and smelly. However, look at now, and look at this. It's like, yeah, I was just on these amazing stages and able to perform and was able to be crowned, and able to affect these seniors that are throwing aside their walkers. I get that vision, and I'm just loving it. And they're putting, and they're playing with the props. And let's pull it back up here. I absolutely love that image, because it's like, okay, yeah, I can see them. And don't they had stories to share.
I want to thank you for pulling up the pictures, and I want to thank you for sharing, that the most recent photo up there. And I wanted to share, like, it's not pretty. So for those that are listening, and a thing that I wanted to share too was I went through the 6 months of regular chemo. So for me, everybody's chemo is different. But
Right.
for my chemo, I had a bloody nose almost every night. I had snot dripping from my nose every day. I had went to the bathroom, diarrhea 12 times a day, usually for 6 months, a little after.
Yeah.
And I I had the goals that I wanted to achieve. And so the one of the restaurants that I danced at, he called like a month after surgery, right? And into my chemo, because I started chemo a couple weeks after a major surgery. And he says, well, I need you to dance at the restaurant. And I said, are you crazy? Like, there are so many other dancers. And yes, I love dancing there weekly and I would want to dance, but I'm like, you're crazy. I am going through this chemo. I had, the major surgery, the big scar, it's fresh and new. Besides that, like, all of these side effects are popping up. And I thought, oh my, and he kept calling me. He kept calling me. And so by December, it was like 2 months, he kept talking to me. And I'm like, that's it. I got to go dance at the restaurant. He needs me. He told me, he's like, I need you to dance at the restaurant. He's like, there isn't anybody else, all this stuff. And my husband's like, I think you should wait. Like, are you sure you want to dance at the restaurant? And I said, yeah, he really needs me. And the thing is, there's a couple things with it. And one, it's like, I danced and I would go into the bathroom and have to use the restroom in my set. So I
Right.
don't think I've shared this. I would put Kleenex here and my nose would drip and I would have to wipe my nose in between the set. So I could have sat at home and had all of this happen as well. And I decided to go dance and sneak and, wipe my nose and use the restroom in between a set real quick, and get back on the floor. And later he told me, he's like, you know why I did that? And I'm like thinking, no, because you're crazy. I don't know why you. I'm like, I was trying to tell you, there's so many other people to call. He's like, I did it because I know that you love to dance. He's like, I know that this would be healing for you. And he's like, I know too many other people that sit and don't do anything that makes them happy. And I did this because I felt it would help you, heal faster. And I was like, yeah, so that's my thing is, let's not wait.
Yes.
because we're never promised, and anything
Right.
can happen to us at any time. Let's do it. And if I can go sneak into the restroom and wipe my nose and um, do it anyway, like let's just do it anyway.
Absolutely. I love it. Absolutely. So you're teaching, you've got a book. Now, is the book Goddess in Motion?
Yeah, so my friend, she's the illustrator, and the Goddess in Motion Institute and Goddess in Motion is the brand, and so she called it Goddess in Motion, which is cool because it goes along with the brand. Um, and there's me, there's my teacher Fatim, a friend of mine, another dancer, Nadirah, on the cover, and then we have some other friends in there, and she drew all the pictures, and I created this. Which I'm still working on getting it out there. So my ask would be, if anybody knows how I can get it into hospitals, into people who need it, um, that's my passion. I thought of this while I was in the hospital, or after I was in the hospital. Um, what? No, I said. Um, that's my son. So
No problem.
I created it because I felt alone in the hospital, and I know that coloring is healing, dance is healing, so that's why we have dance quotes in there. But for the people that are in the hospitals, my goal is, if they're in a hospital or any kind of situation, it can even be people at home, but it's, let's color.
Yeah.
Let's draw, let's read the inspirational quotes. Let's do something that promotes our healing and our relaxation, because I knew that in the hospital I wasn't able to get released until I had healed enough.
Right.
But I know that the coloring promotes healing and relaxation. So I wanted to create something that would promote healing and relaxation so people could heal faster and go on with their life. The really cool thing that's happening is that there's lots of pictures of women in there, and the women are opening up about personal stories
Mm-hmm.
because they're drawing the feminine figure, and it's really nice to witness. So soon I want to create a facilitator program, or some programs based around it, some workshops based around it, because I'm
Wonderful.
realizing, yeah.
You know what? We will share this on the Chemo Buddies page, definitely. And if you can put contact in the comments area,
Okay.
how they can get a hold of you, how they can get a hold of this program, the book. Um, if there's any administrators, I have quite a few that follow this page, and also Chemo Buddies page. And we'll also, I would love to have you back as a guest on Chemo Buddies. I'm going to start having, and I just put it out there today, and I already have a whole bunch of people that want to join us in the
Oh,
mornings. But we're
yay.
going to probably do it on a there she is. Sharon is our senior ambassador of Chemo Buddies for Life.
Yay.
And I actually had already bragged about you, Sharon, with Nadirah here. And so she is our senior ambassador. And so, Sharon, as we are preparing for our coffee, I think we're going to call it Chemo Buddies Coffee Break or something like this.
Ooh.
And we haven't decided what day and what time and everything yet, but got already people that are interested. So what maybe we can do is have you for coffee and go live with that group, and we can talk about it a little bit more, because that will be a group that it really, I mean, that's your audience right there that could possibly use this right away. So
Yeah, and my goal again is anybody that wanted to sponsor, like we were talking about before, sponsorships. It's like I just want to give the book
yeah,
away to the people that need it. And I'm like, that's my goal. It's like, let's just get it into all the hospitals, into, the infusion room, into people at their home. My goal is just to get it out there. And so anybody that would want to sponsor, then that would be wonderful too.
wonderful. Okay, so put your information in,
Okay.
and I have a feeling that there'll be a lot of collaboration. I'm excited about this. This is actually Mikey and uh, Well, they had been
Andrew.
Andrew. Yeah, I just had a little moment there. Chemo brain. I mean, it's a real thing, guys.
I know.
If you ever see me in that little bit of a moment, you can just say chemo fog, because it is actually a side effect that many of us. It's real.
It is.
Uh,
I had that for 3 years really bad, and then once once that lifted, then I went back to school to study holistic health. But I was researching like it can last 10 years or longer, and I don't like to admit that I have it, but I noticed that my mind isn't as sharp as it used to be.
Yeah, and we all have our coping things. So I actually have a dry board that I use, and if I didn't think of something to write down over there, and it's kind of my cheat sheet. And so when I'm live somewhere else and I don't have my whiteboard, I'm like, okay, trying to hold a piece of paper or something. But the bottom line is this. I am so thrilled that we were able to honor you today and get to know you. I know we're going to be collaborating. You're part of our tribe. You're a buddy,
Yes,
you're a
yay!
survivor buddy. And so and Sharon's saying, yes, that sounds like fun. She's all about fun, that one.
Me too. I'm all about fun. Oh, I want to mention, I don't know if there's anybody in San Diego, but I do free class at the library. Saturday it's our dance class, and then Friday is laughter yoga. And I know you love laughter, so
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
Yes. Have you had your daily dose of laughter today? Yes, absolutely. So important. So thank you for doing that. And can you put that in the comment area also? In fact, I would love, love, love sometime to attend, because I'm only up the street. I'm not very far. I'm only another county away. And Sharon saying, congratulations on becoming a service hero.
Oh,
And
thank you very much. I'm honored and excited to be of
thank you.
service. So you guys let me know how I can be of service to you.
We will. In fact, we'll recruit you over into the buddies, and we have plenty of things to do. So we'll get you involved, and Sharon's very persuasive too. And she does it with she asks and then she writes giggling, and so you just always hear her giggling, and even in her typing. So all right. Well, I know you need to go, and I appreciate your time. We've had just a delightful time between your podcast and then you coming on the Service Heroes show. So, yes, guys, realize that I was on Nadirah's podcast. And so when we get that information, I'll load it so you guys can listen and learn a little bit more about what I'm doing, Nadirah, what she's up to, and also follow her on those podcasts. And then also we talked about the next impactor on that whole program. So I do want to encourage you to join up, because you know what, you we go hand in hand, and what you're
Yes.
doing, what I'm doing. If we can get that out there that much more and use that that forum, I think that it's a great idea. So enjoy what you're doing. I want to close now officially and say, Nadirah Bray, I am so thrilled that you are service hero number 203 of 365 days of awesome. Celebrate
Woo!
success through service. Thank you for being the service hero that you are. Thank you for being so real and sharing what you shared in your journey and your survival as a stage 4 cancer warrior, and may we say goddess, and I love
You
the
may.
fact that you are sharing the healing power of belly dancing, that you are a transformational coach that is out there making a difference. You're giving back to the community. You are giving life to those amazing, wonderful seniors that are just throwing those, their walkers to the side and saying, no more today. I am going to belly dance, and I'm going to do with Jimmy. And I think that is absolutely spectacular.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you so much, Tamara. It's such a pleasure to be here, and thank you for allowing me to be vulnerable. And I hope that it just really empowered others to do the same. We have unlimited potential, so let us all just discover what our potential is.
Yes, and be there for each other.
Be
Never
there for each other.
allow. Let's make a pact that those that need us reach out, because there is healing through that connection.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
You go
Thank
and have
you.
a wonderful evening.
You too.
All right. Bye. See everybody tomorrow.